And we're live here in the B-sides in the green room. Actually, this is a new green room. This is more like truer green room, but I don't know. Oh well. Philly D, you're right.
Gemini.
We got a special guest in the house who remains nameless because
The peanut.
he is a peanut gallery, that is for sure. But you know, as usual, there's also
Clickety clacka JD.
the clickety clack of fact checker. I love how her name keeps like growing, changing. She hasn't settled in yet to what she wants. It's funny.
There's no settling needed.
There's no settling needed.
Whatever the moment calls for. That's what it's all about.
I don't know. Well, dude, I want to, because while we got our guy here, we started talking as we were with the Atlanteans and all that stuff, and then JD brought up the polygonal wall thing being like frequencies and stuff like that. Well, him and I started chatting about all that kind of stuff too, and then like we got onto a deeper level where I was more of, I'm trying to get him to be the logically minded individual that he is and like give me reason why it would or wouldn't suggest certain things. Because you know what I mean? Like to play devil's advocate in this sense, but to do it from a very logical, data driven perspective.
Well, what are we talking about doing with frequencies?
Well, so you remember when JD said something about like, hey, what if some of these walls were actually a outcome because of this frequency driven or frequency developed idea for energy? Because we see with the dimensional shapes and stuff when you have with the sounding board or whatever that thing is, where you resonate at certain frequencies, it makes different polygonal shapes and stuff.
Plate or something. I don't even know how it's pronounced. But.
So she had made the statement of like, well, hey, what if, because it resembles that relative idea of these polygonal shapes, what if it just like literally just manifested itself due to that? That kind of stuff.
Oh, and like the stones in those African plains or whatever, how they're all arranged a certain way. Wasn't that the...
Well, something because they just like... Well, because that's what the one park in PA, the Ringing Rocks. Dude, Ringing Rocks was like... it was a thing where it was like with the Ice Age and the thawing and all that stuff, there was lava rock basically, which had high magnesium and iron in it. So it mixes with this rock... And then with the thawing and everything from the Ice Age and stuff, it forced it to come up out of the ground. Now you just, and then, you know, they got eroded away after like, you know, 10,000, 11, 12,000 years or something now.
It's a field of iron.
Iron and magnesium, which is why you can like ring them with a hammer because they have a high metallic ratio for like, you know, as far as its chemical makeup or chemical compound or whatever the hell. I'm not a science teacher, But that's what it is. So that's why they ring and whatnot. But so that was the idea, like she was saying, or yeah, like where these monolithic rocks or something just literally shoved themselves out of ground or whatever. Like, I mean, there's possibility of something like that, I guess. But
some kind of ancient frequency modulation.
Yeah, but
telepathy.
But we were talking more about like, I think the thing that I really want to get into, because I think this is a really great point, is in the pyramids, the whole no soot in the lower chambers where all this stuff would have been like carved out or whatever. So, I mean, like, what are the different ideas of like how they could have done that without using gas lamps? And you were saying they could have just been burning like a really pure oil.
Well, so take a step back. So the point I was trying to make in our conversation was I want to separate the speculative what ifs from the things that are unassailable factually, because the things that are unassailable factually get ignored because they get coupled with everybody's speculation in academia. So, for example, like take the pyramids. Academia says, oh, we know when they were built, we know who built them, how long, it took about 30 years, whatever. So we know how many blocks are in them, we know where they got them from. You can do the math, and that math says, they had to basically cut, quarry, and finish one stone every minute and a half, whatever, for like 30 years straight. It's completely unrealistic to keep that rate up day and night. There's a piece missing there. That's something that nobody can critique. That's a statement that is unassailable factually. The minute you start speculating on how they did that, I mean, it seems pretty clear we're missing a component here. This was clearly not as much work for them as we think it is today.
Well, because
what that component was is where you get into speculation.
Right. Well, because I mean, yeah, that's the thing is like, all right, so even with the slave idea and like the rolling logs and all, yeah, you're talking 3 decades of continuous nonstop. I mean, this is 24/7, 365.
Day, night, an army of people you have to feed, logistics, weather, problems, supply chain issues. These are all things that modern construction, you have to overcome all of this. You have to keep this pace up nonstop. You have to have a labor pool. You have to have all of the medical care, the food, the things that come with this labor pool. It's not realistic.
But even with our modern technology, we can't really come
they can't
close.
do it. Like, and there's dozens of examples.
Well, and
like
the question is, why would you?
There's those granite rocks that have those extreme inner 90-degree H cuts, I think, in South America. It's like Puma Punku or something. And you can take the best stone cutters we have today and you can go down there and go do this. And they go, we can't. Those are things that are unassailable factually. When people start going, when you go, hey, you can't do this, you can't keep up the pace, you can't cut it, you go, yep, factually true. And then somebody goes, aliens, and it's like, okay, you have no evidence of that.
Why do you just jump
the shark? So,
well, yeah.
I'm fine with the speculation, but when you go aliens, everybody in academia ignores the fact that their example falls flat on its face in any realistic example of the world,
Well, that's why I was going with the idea more of what I said, the Atlanteans being ancient civilization. So it's not like, hey, this is not of Earth. I'm just saying this is not of our current human understanding.
And I'm not saying that couldn't be true, but in my mind, that falls into that speculation. And your example, and one of the pieces of hard evidence was, hey, if you're doing work on these pyramids and you're burning things inside, where's the soot? There isn't any. That's something they have no explanation for. And a lot of people go, oh, well, they had electric light. Look, there's pictures that look like electric light. Yeah, maybe. And my other example was maybe they just had perfectly clean burning fuel.
Yeah.
In the absence of any evidence, either one of those is true. It could have been a bunch of dudes lighting farts. You have no evidence to prove any one of those things is more realistic than the other.
But it's written there in the hieroglyphs.
Well,
that's your interpretation.
Right.
You don't know what those pictures mean.
But is it possible that they could have done some of these carvings and then put the pieces in place? So they would have been able to do it out in the daylight and then assembled it like Lego style?
I mean, until you have an answer, you have to consider anything. Isn't that science? The minute you start ruling stuff out because you believe something, you're not doing science. You're trying to confirm your opinion.
Well, see, because that's the thing is, for that to be in there, there's only so many possibilities of what could have transpired, which is why I'm like, you can't just instantly go, oh, aliens. Well, no, because I mean, again, yeah, you could have had perfectly burning oil. Like they could have made some sort of weird grain alcohol that they distilled out and then like let sit out long enough that it like dissipated, that it was legit just straight alcohol. Like it could have been the cleanest burning fuel ever. We don't know.
I mean, it's all speculation. You've got those other rocks in those other places that are giant and they're all rounded and they all fit together and they look like somebody made them soft and stuffed them in there like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have been cut that way. It's entirely possible. But regardless of how you think they did it, it seems really clear that whatever method they had was not nearly as complicated as we seem to think it was. The method they had for doing this work doesn't seem to be as difficult to them as we seem to think it would be to us today.
How is that, though?
Well, that's that. Now you're getting into speculation, but
is it an understanding of the lost technology?
Well, it's obviously lost technology because we can't do it today. But the minute you say that, people lose their shit.
But that's happened numerous times throughout history.
Dude, it's happened. We've talked about this. It's happened in the 50s. You can go back to the Saturn V rocket. You can't build them today. All those guys got old and died. They were all hand built. That knowledge is gone.
Yeah. It's not gone. It's just not currently being accessed.
Well, I mean, so you can have all of the, recipes and diagrams and, instructions and everything, but unless you were the one that actually like did it, then you don't know.
Elon Musk is literally building heavy lift rockets to get back to the capability of what the Saturn V had.
I believe it.
What do you mean by that?
So Saturn V rockets are the things we use to go to the moon. We had like 9 of them. They were basically hand built. Each one was slightly different. They were the most powerful machines we've ever built. We stopped going to the moon. We stopped flying them. We retired them. They got old. All the people that hand built them that knew how they worked retired.
Right.
That information isn't digital. It was blueprints. Some of it was in their heads.
Right.
Some of those guys went senile, got old, died. That information to some degree went with them.
Yeah,
To
I get that.
rediscover that information at this point, we basically need to take those things apart, reverse engineer them. They can't just spin up the assembly line and start producing them. That's what Elon Musk has been doing. He's been, okay, these things had this capability. To redo that with new technology, he has to pick up a 30 to 40 year technology gap because they stopped working on it. So he has to go, this was the old technology back in the day. There's a 30, 40 year gap, new materials, new testing, all those things that have to happen because it stopped. So he had to relearn how to do that.
Oh, so he's basically like, he's legit taking that old style and he's making it his, in a sense. Like he's fixing all of the stuff in comparison to like, hey, we have all this new technology. We still need to do it in this relative capacity, but we no longer make these pieces or those parts. What do? Well, we make this and that. All right, well, then it changes this to this and that to that. And it's like, so you got to like tweak from there in a sense.
Imagine shuttering a car plant for 40 years. You still know what a car is. You still know how it works. You still get the idea. But to open that plant and start producing those things at that quality that perform at that level again takes some work.
Okay, because it's basically,
You want to think about it that way.
Yeah, because it's like old technology or old knowledge, and it's just comparison of what you're using now. They're not. Yeah, you're basically you're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Well, you have to rethink. Like you said, there's probably a number of pieces of the puzzle that, if they're not already in your head as the genius behind it in the first place, you don't know what makes it all go together just because you can read it on a blueprint.
But to your point, lost tech, you don't have to go back that far. The Romans built giant siege weapons out of wood. We can't build things out of wood that large anymore. It breaks, it splitters. We don't know how to do it because we came up with steel and it was easier and it performed just as well.
Right.
The technology to work with wood at the scale the Romans did in that way, gone. We would have to rediscover it. The other example we've talked about, Damascus steel. We don't know exactly how they made it, but a bunch of people got together and went, look, we've been able to recreate it. It looks the same. It tests the same under a microscope, and it has the same strength. It appears that we've rediscovered how they made it. But that knowledge was not continuously passed down. It was rediscovered.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it seems like a lot of people do that Damascus steel stuff now.
So
it's become kind of commonplace.
It seems, if you're talking about stonework, that somewhere along the lines we lost some tech. What that was, that's the speculation you get into. And I'm just separating we lost technology to work with stone at scale that ancient people did, seems to me an unassailable academic statement.
Well, see, one of my thoughts, well, actually, I guess one of my questions is having this relative idea or technology or ability when they were making all these different pyramids and walls and whatever else, how is it that they were doing this throughout relatively the world and there wasn't any true noted back and forth as far as like mercantile or like anything? So you're not doing like merchant ships and stuff because you're going back thousands of years into the jungles and all that kind of shit. So how is it that you could have all of these civilizations that could speak completely different languages, yet somehow still have the same relative idea of technology in that, like, stone shaping capacity? Like, what would be a decent idea in your mind as far as like what could we rule out and what couldn't we rule out?
You're asking me?
Yeah. He doesn't know this shit.
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but data-wise, there are commonalities that you see, in South America, in China, in other areas, you see tales of foreign people that came in and brought knowledge, and in a lot of cases, they don't look like the individuals that were there. The Egyptians, they find people with red hair and genetic material for blue eyes. They don't belong in that region. They found the same depictions in South America. All of these cultures have stories of people coming in from somewhere else and bringing technology. So,
okay.
Occam's razor, the likely scenario is that people were able to travel and share knowledge in a way that we don't understand. What's more likely? Aliens did it, or somebody figured out how to build a boat?
And see, and that's why I was like more of possibly like Atlanteans or whatever advanced civilization at the time of like the big, the big ice age and then thaw out. There could have been, and I would assume possibly, looking at the timeline of how like Sumerians came out and they had certain knowledge and understanding. And then, you're saying, so obviously they had to have had some means of travel, whether it was being documented or not, and this knowledge was being, passed around basically. It sounds as if possibly like as this older civilization was destroyed or basically to ruins as the planet was adjusting through the ice age into the thawing, you would have had some of them possibly survived and, just would have spread that knowledge throughout the world. So, I mean, that's why I'm more prone to believe in the idea of ancient civilization, like old version of us, than I want to be like, oh, it's aliens.
Yeah, I tend to be the same way, that there's a, whether or not you believe in aliens, I don't think it plays a role in that as much.
Well, see, to me, the idea alien just means not us or different than us. So, if we go to another country, we're alien to them. You know what I mean? But when we say aliens, we should be doing like air quotes because we're talking non-terrestrial beings of this earth. So some other entity from some other realm that we don't know. And that's why I'm like, dude.
Another dimension.
Well, I mean, just like statistically speaking, so like the probability with all of these even Earth-like planets that they're supposedly discovering, if these are true, then just theoretically speaking, in numbers, there's got to be at least like one or two other civilizations. The possibility is very high. Doesn't mean that there is, but okay, cool. So there's at least, another civilization or two out there, possibly, unless they're way behind us. And so that doesn't exist, or maybe they're like way ahead of us and it doesn't even matter. But so the probability speaks to me that says, yeah, if there was something not of this earth, yeah, there's a possibility that could be happening, but there's also the same possibility of that not happening.
What, a planet in the Goldilocks zone being able to support life?
Goldilocks.
Is that what you're talking about, or?
See,
I mean, the chances of that are so much more than
we went from rocks to outer space, right? And like this always happens, and this is why like. The other day when we were talking, I hung my hat on this, and I'm like, no, man, enough with the alien crap. Because every time it comes up, people wind up like there's no evidence of any of that. The simplest explanation is that ancient people had a way of doing something that was much easier to them than we think it is.
Well, yeah, because what isn't that the Fermi Paradox or whatever?
Occam's razor. All things being equal, the simplest explanation is the most likely.
Oh yeah, but no, what's the Fermi Paradox? Isn't that where's the aliens ones or whatever or something, right?
Which what?
Isn't that what that is? The Fermi Paradox about like where are all the aliens? It's like the same thing as like Sasquatch. You're gonna try and tell me there's a Bigfoot? Where's its scat? Where's its hair? Where's a home? Where's a nest? Where's the why haven't we found
somebody
skeletons?
Has to have seen this at this point.
Yeah. Or there should have been some form of evidence, you know what I mean? Like whether it's a home, a nest, a skeleton, a pile of poop, like something. I mean, I think you and I were talking, I was like, what do they do? They're just eating their own poop? I mean, what kind of shit is this?
It's always one blurry photo away from proof.
Yeah.
Nobody ever comes, look, I found a dead Bigfoot. Here's DNA. Here's a big turd from Bigfoot. Like, here's bones. There should be lots of physical evidence. I can go into the woods and find evidence of deer.
You're right.
I'm never going to catch one with my hands. I can find you evidence of deer.
So, I mean, like I'm curious as to why governments are starting to release that they have, I don't want to say evidence, recorded information or data of known anomalies that they do not have explanations for that they're willing to put out there, if that's an accurate statement.
Okay, that statement just took a lot on faith.
Well, that's why I said if, and but still. So, if they are though, like if these are like legit, hey, yeah, this is our data, this is what we see, this is what our system said, we still don't know what this is. If they're willing to start to express some of this information, like, okay, so what are some possibilities? Like again, Occam's razor, like what's the easiest explanation as to what these recorded anomalies are outside of the weather stuff? I'm talking about the ones where it's like, hey, we went through all this, that, and the other. We still have no freaking idea. Because I think the percentage of all of the claims that go in through the different, or at least from what I understand, the U.S., but all the reported cases that were able to be completely debunked and dismissed, they still had like 17% of all these, outlandish claims that they had no clue for. And of that 17, there was like another smaller percent where it's like, yo, that's some serious shit and we got nothing to fucking say.
Like true cold case, X-Files.
Well, yeah, like where even the government's willing to be like, yeah, we admit that happened, but I don't know. So, I mean, like, I'm curious as to, like, again, Occam's razor, what would be the easiest way to explain some of these phenomena? Phenomena.
Going by past historical behavior, in my opinion, they're lying to you.
Okay.
We're talking about the same government here that's given people LSD, has tried to figure out how to make a bomb for the military that turns people gay. Like, there's no end to the stupidity that the government comes up to. And it's almost never, hey, we're being totally honest. It's almost always deceptive bullshit.
Yeah, that's
in my
pretty
opinion,
funny.
the most likely explanation is not aliens or whatever. They're just trying to head fuck everybody for some reason. What that is, why, who knows, but
Fear.
Well,
yeah,
you see,
they don't have a track record here of being honest.
Yeah, right. Well, this is why I want to agree with Dr. Greer when he was talking in his latest movie, which was the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. He says at this point, if the government is willing to admit to anything in this capacity,
It will be a lie.
it's legit as propaganda only, and it's meant to be a controlling component, just as, like they would do, as you're saying, like they're lying to you.
Like if it was a UFO, chances are it would have been made by operatives that we're in contact with.
But see,
Not
you
aliens.
You just got fed a Hobson's choice and you didn't even know it. And this is my point. You got fed the duality principle of it's either aliens or it's our tech. It's like, hey, either Epstein's killed himself or somebody murdered him.
It's a Hobson's choice. No,
Yeah,
I get
right.
that.
Maybe he's not dead. You know what? Maybe it's not actually anything flying around up there. Maybe it's bullshit. Like when somebody says it's either left or right, it's that, that's like what you do to kids. Do you want peas or carrots? Damn right. Kid doesn't want any vegetables.
I tend to agree the same thing, though. It's just there's so much information out there, but I tend to agree the same thing, that it's probably about 17 to 19% of these things are actually, they have actually no idea what happened. They can show you a series of events that took place and they have no explanation.
Well, and so, all right. So you remember do you remember the Bob Lazar, Joe Rogan conversation?
Yeah.
Where Bob Lazar tells the story of how he took him and a bunch of his friends out to a known area on a specific day and time. Like it was like a Wednesday night or something, because they knew that they were going to be running, test runs basically of these craft of some sort. And they took them out into, the middle of nowhere in the desert to look in the freaking stars and watch these things like pull maneuvers. Right? So, I mean, to me, and this is, all right, so devil's advocate, I own $30 million technology, right? Like I have a,
Cool.
I have the, hypothetical, I have this $30 million jet that can basically hover and then go faster than the speed of light, right? The UFOs that we want to talk about.
Dude, for $30 million, you get kind of a crappy jet.
Right, but
It's
still,
not that
so
nice.
I'm
I
just
got news for you.
Well, but long story short is I have
Smells.
a shit ton of money in experimental technology that most likely isn't exactly something that you're going to be getting, an insurance claim for if you wreck this thing. So I'm not exactly going to be wanting to be like, hey, let's, put a $30 million vehicle out into the possibility of being discovered, ruined, broken, something or other. Unless I can do full recovery and keep the tech for myself, all that kind of stuff. So the idea of like Bob Lazar going out into the middle of nowhere, like Area 51 and all that stuff, where it's like literally nowhere, that it's completely restricted, you can fly all of your tech. So I believe the idea that, you know, the U.S. is working on something that's way beyond what we have now, because I mean, why wouldn't you be? But they're also testing it out in that capacity. So anything outside of possible like real testing grounds, I don't really see it as being able to be something. You know what I mean? Like, because why would you be like, oh, I'm the U.S. government, I got this $30 million jet, I'm just going to go take it out in the middle of nowhere and like let these people see it? What happens if that thing crashes and now you got to explain that thing? You got to, you know, you have ownership in it. Like, you're going to be way more secretive on that kind of tech, like way harder. So I have a hard time believing that if these 17% of unexplainable stuff, it's not even us. Like, it's not even our tech. So it's like, I don't know. You know, it would be some, like you were telling me, it was like storm anomalies and stuff like that, where you get like cells and stuff, and it changes optical blah blah blahs and all that shit, right?
Well, again, that's the speculation, and my point was, there's a ton of stuff happening that, yes, we have a lot more radar, we have a lot more objects up in the air, so we're collecting a lot more data. And when you collect more data, you see more things. So are we seeing more of this stuff? Yes. Do we have data points? Yeah. There's stuff on radar. People are seeing things. There's no data to prove one way or the other what those things are. You know, so it could be just you're picking up natural phenomenon on radar because you have more of it up there now. Phenomena.
Oh, it was in there.
Phenomena.
Thank you.
It was unfinished, just hanging.
I completely lost my thought, but now I don't care. If it's just more data and we're just seeing things like that, that doesn't prove what's causing it. You know, we still have to look at it, and you're back into the speculation. But to your other point, the government has kind of a history of, I mean, I guess there's two things that are questionable about that. Is one is the alien tech, and the other is the idea of the government would be frugal with your money and give a shit. I don't think they do. And they do kind of have a history of taking, because they have a bottomless pit of money, and they take these things up and they fly them and they crash them all the time, and then they just cover it up. I mean, when they were testing the SR-71, that was a lot of the, you know, once they said, look, this is, people were saying, we're seeing these objects, they start up real high, they come down close to the horizon, and then they shoot up real high. Those were trans-Mach maneuvers for a Blackbird. That is what it did. When you first get over the speed of sound, you get a really high, you know, you get a period of high resistance. So what they would do is they would put the thing into a nosedive, power through it as fast as possible, and then pull up to altitude. It was a standard maneuver. People were seeing this happen a lot out near Groom Lake because that's where they tested these things. Right. You can't do that maneuver and fly those things over an area that small. So they were seeing them all over the country. I mean, shit, as soon as they got a U-2 flight where they were putting them up over Russia as soon as the thing was operational. Yeah. And they weren't even admitting it until one got shot down.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, here's your pilot. His name's Gary. And everybody went, okay,
Gary.
We fly these things. We are doing this. And, sorry.
It's our boy, Gary.
Like, they trotted him out on TV.
I don't know, who's this Gary character you keep going on about? Dude, no, you using Gary goes straight to like weird science. That's that whole scene where she like zaps his brain. The father can't remember. He's like, who's this Gary character you keep going on about? That's what's
not to be confused with national hero Gary Powers, but yes.
No, I could just see the U.S. government doing that back in the day. Just be like, who's this Gary character you keep going? We don't know him. I don't know who that guy is. Come on. And that one schmuck in the back, come on, no, that's Gary. Who? What are you talking about? Get him out of here. I don't know this Gary character.
We forgot the doll.
In your race for power and glory, you forgot one important thing.
We forgot to hook up the doll.
You forgot to hook up the doll. And that's when, like, I think it goes to the basement and, like, the missile bay doors open. And then like, the ICBMs start coming up through. Oh, that shit's so.
This is a Persian missile chip.
This is a Persian chip. No shit.
Chet, My name is Chet.
And I think it was a Will's dick, honey. In the blue room, no shit. Oh my God.
You realize it's snowing?
Bro, no. So earlier it was fucking snowing outside, right? And like I didn't think it was supposed to be or whatever. I like straight up look out the window. I was like, do you realize it's snowing outside? Dude, I had weird science the shit out of it. Because that's the thing is like, even if I don't do the quote, if I'm like quote adjacent, I at least do like the voice or like, you know, dude, it's just how my brain works. It's fucked up.
I'm there.
Dude, I get it. You know, it's whatever.
I get you. It's all right. I do the same thing. I may not say it out loud all the time, but, you know, I'm thinking it.
Yeah, the rhythm is going to get you. But no, it's the movie quote. The movie quote is going to get you. That's what's going to happen. Well, so, I mean, all right, cool. Let's go back to this idea again, like unexplainable phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
Somebody was supposed to be no, there it is. So my point on that whole like thing is like, yeah, I'm not, as it's being tested, once it's actually tested and it's proven usable, all right, cool. Yeah, you got to pull maneuvers and like try and do stuff and whatever. But like specifically, what's the 2004 incident? I was, you know, watching the Commander David Fravor.
I have no idea what
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's the what's the one you know about with the flare camera and all that kind of shit, and they had radar on it and all this stuff. So Commander and his 3 other pilots or co-pilots had visual but no recorded data of this interaction. But then you get this radar ship that actually does record it, and then there's another set of guys that go out shortly after to pull maneuvers. And finally, like, oh, you know, hey, because they just heard about this incident, so they ran all their recording equipment and picked up. So there's a bunch of different footage that the U.S. government let out that was just like, yes, this is our footage. We have this documented as an incident that we cannot explain. And it's a blip on radar, basically, that they chase down in a sense or, you know, get a copy of and all that stuff. But so once you have like tested equipment, I mean, and you know it's good to go and shit's not going to break, you don't have to really worry about it like getting shot down or whatever else. All right, cool. Now I want to go out and show it off, I guess. But the likelihood of, so the thing doesn't cost $30 million. The thing costs like, you know, $1.5 billion to build one. Are you just going to let that thing go out into like freaking deep sea and like chase down some shit and let them fuck with you? Like, do you really think the government was, you know, the deep guys that are doing shit, they're going to let a $1.5 billion possible high-tech thing get shot down into the ocean?
Well, you don't let it get shot down. I mean, if you have one, you fly it around safe airspace, but that's exactly what you do with test aircraft. You start out doing something very, very slow and dumb and controllable, and you slowly do things more and more extreme as you gain confidence and get test data.
All right, so then that's what I'm saying is
That's been this norm forever.
Okay, so the 2004 incident, do you think that
We're talking about the 2 guys in the F-18
yeah,
that
correct.
the Navy released the footage on.
Yeah, where you get like where it's mostly like the flare video and stuff, the forward facing or
So the notable thing about that in my mind is the fact that the government released the footage and acknowledged it, where that's the change in my mind.
Well, because it had already been leaked, though.
Yeah, but the government came out and said, this is legitimate footage from naval aviators, you know, and like, look, these are guys that fly armed planes and land them on carriers. This is the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah, right.
If they even think there's something wrong with you, you are not allowed to do that at that level.
Right.
There's no. Yeah,
this is the best of the best of the best,
report this stuff because they're afraid that even saying that on a report would get their flight creds pulled.
Right.
You know, carrier landings it's the cream of the crop.
Yeah. I get that.
So for the government to say these people are confused, they don't understand this, here's the footage, that's something new. Why the government is now. What it is, who knows, that's speculative. But the government's saying this is something new. We're admitting that these things are happening. That is new behavior. Why they're doing that, I don't know.
I would say it's for I would say it's for control or something.
Oh, you know, I mean, there's a couple things. It could be desensitization. It could be control. It could be propaganda. It could be just, you know.
Well, yeah, because
it's funny. Who knows?
Well, that was like the movie Paul, which is like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg's version of E.T. basically, and Seth Rogen is the alien. There's shut up. You won't be here for a while. I need to be a man. Just kidding. It's only 15-year-old Scotch. We're still celebrating. So there's a part where the one guy's looking at the alien. He's like, "Why do you look like all the aliens I've seen?" He's like, "Because you've been slowly fed my face so that when you see me, you don't freak out." Even though he totally like freaked out, like fainted and then peed himself. Yeah, and Jason Bateman's in that. He plays a, I guess, I don't know, what do you want to call him? The fucking like level 5 guy or some shit. Where he's like, you need like 6 levels of clearance that nobody gets. So he's like one of those deep operatives. It's just like, who do you work for? It's like, like, wait, what? He didn't answer the question. He just laughed at me. I don't know what's going on here. Like, he doesn't work for anybody. That kind of, like one of those guys.
I like Bateman. Sorry.
Dude, he's an honest actor. Like, I want to talk about like somebody like underrated actors.
Ozark.
Dude, he's great in
When's that
Ozark.
coming back out?
Yeah, I know. Season 4's got to be coming soon.
Yeah.
Fact checker, season 4, Ozark.
I thought it was supposed to be out already, actually.
No, I think it's supposed to be closer to season 4. I think it's supposed to be closer to the summer. Yeah, I want to say, like into March, April, May.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of season 4, Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I watched the shit out of it.
Yes,
I
just finished it.
There's supposed to be, I think, a follow-up season 5 sooner than what we just watched. I think the release date is close to
There
summer.
better be.
Yeah, I think they're doing a second because they did that one was just before New Year's, right? Wasn't it like right after Christmas or something?
Yeah, it wasn't. I kind of ripped.
I'm
through it.
sorry, which
Yeah, I
one?
know. Cobra Kai. Yeah, no, but Ozark season 4 is more important. When is that? And then we can go to the Cobra Kai.
21st.
21st one.
In a few days, it'll be out.
Oh, nice.
What?
January.
Ooh.
Nice.
That's
Released
awesome.
11 hours ago, so it's accurate information.
Fresh.
All right, Cobra Kai season 5. Next.
You want to know when that's out?
Yes,
That'll be at
please.
least next year because season 4 just came out like 2 weeks ago.
No. I'm pretty sure I was like reading into like when they were going to release 5. It's supposed to be quicker than a year because I think they're already
Before
like.
it was like over a year. It was like a year and a couple months, right?
Well, no. Cobra Kai 4 just came out like Christmas.
Yeah, but the gap between 4 and 3 was
Not that massive.
pretty big.
Like
It was
close
large
to a
enough
year.
where I looked at the kid that plays the younger son, and I'm like, is that the same actor even?
Yeah. No, close to a year. I want to say. I can agree to that.
It says late December.
For what, season 5?
Yeah.
They're liars. I read somewhere it said sooner than that. All right, cool. Ozark. Oh, dude, I've been drinking scotch. Shut it. Ozark 4 coming out. Dude, that's dope.
Nice.
Well, I'm excited for that shit. Because I just saw the
Yeah, it said late December or early January.
liars. But yeah, no, I on Netflix that just popped up was like Ozark, and I was just like, and then I went through and it was just like 3 seasons. It's like, no, you tricked me. You did it. You pulled me in. I'm not ready for this. So, dude, that's dope. Like a week, not even 3 days. Dude, that's hot shit. I know what I'm doing this weekend.
I got to go back and rewatch some of that.
I think I saw that new Dexter's out or it came out or
I never got into that shit. Not even close. Like
I never
It's
watched
good.
the last season.
I never watched a single episode. Like I'm not into a dude that just wants to kill dudes that kill other people. Like that's just a whole lot of killing.
It's actually strangely entertaining.
I don't know.
The
It's still
first
It
season was actually very good. It's not. I mean, what you're saying is not the main plot. It's almost like the backdrop for what you've got is somebody who's got real social anxiety. I don't want to say social anxiety, but social issues where he's disconnected. He's not. It's about him trying to fit in, and the mechanism you're talking about is kind of more like a dark humor backdrop,
okay.
more than anything, I'd say.
I mean, but still, when I watch it, that's the only thing I can think of. Like just thinking of it, looking at it, I instantly go to. And I mean, in all honesty, like lately, all I've been doing is either reruns or just trying to do more research where it's like open my mind to these possibilities of the things that, like we're talking about now of let's get away from the easiest explanation. We're just like, oh, it's alien technology. It's like, dude, why do we like instantly have to go there? Like,
well, that's not the easiest. I mean, that's not according to scientific principles.
No. To common layman, like just individual, where it's just like, this is obviously aliens. It's just like, dude, no. Just because you have a picture of something you can't explain that's a little fuzzy or whatever, it doesn't mean it's alien.
Well, it can be technology that's alien to you. That I get,
but see, that's why I like using the term alien in its truest definition. Unfortunately, as soon as you say the term alien, air quotes, it's instantly little green men.
But you can't use the term alien when you're discussing. So the term alien means from outside a group. So if I'm talking about a United States citizen and I say alien, that alien means anyone who is not a United States citizen.
Canadian, Mexican, Guatemalan,
if I'm
European.
talking about English citizens, an alien is anyone who is not a British citizen.
Right.
If I'm talking about human technology, the term alien, by definition, refers to non-humans. No, because human technology, even under it's a bunch of people that made spaceships and went away and came back, and they're still human technology, just advanced. The term alien, if you're talking about human technology, means non-human by definition. It's just word usage. Alien means outside the group. So if you're saying human technology, it encompasses all of human technology, including your theoretical group of humans that went away and has super advanced technology. That is still, by definition, human technology. So if you're saying alien...
That's why I'm saying it's not alien.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. So if you're using the term alien in response to human technology, you mean literally little green men or something along those lines.
Well, but that's why I would like.
So that's why I was hanging my hat.
Well, right.
Use the term alien.
Well, but seeing that's why I was trying to express to you. I was like, hey, when I use the term alien, I mean not of us in this current realm that we understand.
But that means non-human technology.
See,
I'm talking about using the word for just kind of like being ignorant of something.
Well, we're debating semantics on the term alien, and it's just so we need to use a different term. So, non-current human understanding technology. This is
want to call it super advanced human technology. That's fine, but the term alien, when coupled with the word human technology, by definition, means it isn't human technology.
See,
that's just grammar.
This is where I want to get into.
I get that. Yeah, because you have to make a distinction somewhere.
Well, I agree.
If I say U.S. citizen alien, everybody knows I mean a non-U.S. citizen. Like it's just. Come on, you're killing me here.
How many hyphens are in that word?
Pull up fact checker Webster. Oxford Dictionary, please.
But yeah, no.
I'm looking up synonyms.
Something that's alien.
Yeah, the definition of alien.
Synonym. No. Synonym.
No.
Synonym.
That almost works.
That's what I'm saying. Do anything with like na in it, or like na or na or
banana?
Like. Yeah, dude. Well, no, it's got
an extra na in there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
banana.
Yeah, because then you can get the da. Yeah, so yeah, no. Yeah, any of that like MANA na.
I guess non-native.
Non-native
might be a good synonym.
There you go. Non-native technology.
Non-native.
Anywho, I'm more
or stranger. Those are the only ones that make sense.
Well, because like, all right, so the three of us have had the discussion on the side of like who wants to contact aliens, right? So I'm going as far at this point where it's like, you know what? Let's actually poke the bear. Let's call out to these forces.
Oh,
energies.
you want to see E5 this bitch?
Pretty much. Like, all right, no, because I want to agree with homeboy over here. It's like, dude, until you can give me a non-blurry photo just before the incident happened, I want to be able to. I want physical contact where the rest of my life I'm a different person. Yeah, I don't want to just be like, all right, so think about this. Like, I've been on the moon and I was like doing my rock collecting and shit, and something floated by. No. I want some short or something, this fucking, this leopard, or lizard skinned, or, I want this being that is completely different than human. I don't want it to be an us in the past civilization going away from the planet and then coming back, 10, 12,000 years and being a modified version of what we are, right? I want real deal. I want E.T. phone home, Elliot. I want that mother to touch me. Like, I want proof.
Pervert.
Not like that. Jesus.
I want Howard the Duck.
Dude, I so want Howard the Duck. That'd be the dopest shit ever.
Or Alf.
I mean...
Or Mork.
I'm okay with Alf because I'm not really into cats. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I kind of like his style. I mean, I can't really get down with the mortality thing. I'm honest. Just like, I hate cats. I'm going to eat it. No, I don't. But still, I can get down with Alf. I don't like cats, but I don't want to kill them. But I'm just saying, if somebody is going to, then, hey, I appreciate the effort. Like, not exactly like, I don't agree with it, but I don't exactly disagree with it.
But I don't look the other way.
I mean, this is what who am I to tell him that his belief system is incorrect? That's not my business. And he's only hurting cats, so who cares?
I don't practice Santeria.
Just saying, if there was a few less cats in the world, I'm pretty sure it'd be a better place for everybody.
I'm having a tough time picking my alien. I mean, if this is like Ghostbusters, and if you have to pick your alien that's going to invade, like choose it's Gozer, you got to pick.
Right.
I don't know. I'm stuck.
Well, yeah, because there's Predator, right?
That's what I was thinking, and I was thinking that.
But
Superman.
Honestly,
There's also the Blob.
But like, if you had, I was kind of leaning toward Predator, but I'm thinking like, I want a moral version. I want like Predator that goes after like assholes on the highway.
well,
Right?
all right. Well,
You know what I mean?
no,
Are you
'cause-
follow me here?
well, yeah. So think about it. When they did, was it Predator versus Alien, and you
Catch a
had
predator.
Yeah. Dude, that's
fucking
great.
funny. But no, all right. Like, so, well, no. So think about it. So, like, when we had Alien versus Predator or whatever, we saw more Predator of the civilization. So there was more of them.
Oh man, you got a red dot on your head.
Well, yeah, no shit. But so while you see this very animalistic, almost primitive hunter type, which is what we're introduced to in the first movie, right? As we like progressively go through Predator 2 and then Alien versus Predator and stuff, you start to see that they are, even though very primitive as we want to call it, or very, hunter-gatherer type where they're very just violent, they do have an intelligence or a morality to it because the one chick who actually like fights through the whole ordeal and makes it to the very end and winds up helping to kill like the super female alien that was laying all the eggs for the future alien so they could keep this practice going. They all kind of came down and like bowed out or like was just like, yo, you ain't one of us, but yo, you just did some shit. Like, what's up? Respect. Well, because normally, as we've seen everything beforehand, other than, well, because in Predator 2, when I think the one acknowledges Danny Glover, he almost kind of gives him a whole like nod or whatever, a little bit in a sense where he's just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to let this guy live because he's kind of dope.
Oh, that was like the shittiest ending ever, where he like gives him the pirate gun. It was just,
Right,
terrible.
but still, the simple fact is it starts to paint that picture, and so that's when we get to like Alien versus Predator, you start to see it's like, yeah, there really is, albeit they have these weird crab-like mouths, and they're like, and they're like clicking and shit, like I don't know what the fuck, but still.
No, if we're just totally making shit up about aliens, I want aliens that come here and like the dude at the supermarket, like buying out all the toilet paper, like he's putting his shit in his car, and it's what is that noise?
Yeah, right. But so that's what I'm saying though, is like, if them shits come alive, like warrior respect warrior, like real recognize real. Yeah, dude, the fat tubby dude that doesn't know shit, just like Zombieland shit. Dude, yeah.
One minute you're hoarding toilet paper, the next minute some dude's polishing your skull and spine.
You walk out,
right.
you walk out, and you see like the carnage, and you're just like, you look in the trunk, and you see all the toilet paper, and you're like, okay, all right,
Dude hung
We're
upside
good.
down from the shopping cart return, like skinned.
We're good.
Yeah, pretty much.
But what about
They should do that to people.
think about the
that don't
Mondo
return.
Shawaiians?
What about the what? No, we didn't.
The Mondo Shawaya.
The what?
Okay, I don't know this. Is this like Chupacabra? I don't know this one.
The Chupacabra?
No. That's their actual name. But guys from the Fifth Element who hold all the secrets of the Egyptians, and they come back every 5,000 years.
Oh, you mean it's kind of like the masonry, or not the masonries, the
like the monk dude.
Not because that was
Multipass?
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was about to go there.
The priest of a secret order.
Oh, are you talking about the special being as in Lili Multipass, or are we talking about the dude who was like
monk?
Yeah, the monk who had to like protect it, like the fucking the knights, the Templars. What are those?
The creatures that came down, that fingers were the key that opened it up.
Right. Okay, yeah. So the big mecha creatures. You're like,
yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, those ones. All right, go.
Maybe those were your Atlanteans.
But take that and think that into theory. What we were talking before, when you were talking about like people that have the ability to travel and come back every so many thousand years, and their technology is dispersed throughout the world in different things because these beings they show up and share technologies.
I like that.
From earlier in the conversation.
I mean, that sounds like a really cool idea, but I mean, I still got to agree with my dude where it's just like, show me the data.
I think the most predictive thing about the Fifth Element was the multi-pass that everyone needs to travel.
Yeah.
Being called a meat popsicle, being subjected to a police state authority, having to put your hands on the yellow circle, and living in a little box and not being allowed out.
Well, see, I want to say it goes even further than that. It was Max Headroom. Right? Think about that. So Max Headroom was like they had the chip in their arm that was not only your locator, your identifier, but it was also basically like your credit card. It was your access to your credits. Like, I don't even think they called it money anymore. I think it was credits. You had so many credits.
Well, that's been a thing that's been around forever. But I mean, there's a topic for you. What got more right? Fifth Element? Maybe in a year or two it'll change, or Demolition Man.
Ooh.
Right? No toilet paper, police that don't do violence, no physical contact.
Wait a minute.
Go back.
Did you just say that in Headroom that they have a microchip or something in them that they can use as like credit and this and that and the other thing?
Yeah, no.
So in Switzerland, they're actually doing that to people.
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been wanting
marijuana affects the memory.
Deja vu.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. Yeah, we've totally had this conversation before. Where that's correct, and that was exact reference that I had used before for that as well. So, but yeah, that's
spot on.
Well, but so what's the one thing? Think about this in all of the Bibles, like the Torah, all that shit,
all the Bibles and stuff.
Well, no. All the religious writings, as far as we're aware, what are a few of the things that they all speak against as being like the coming of Satan, like the worst things ever? Globalization to the point that we have a single government as well as a single leader and a single currency.
That's all New Testament. It's all in it's a book of Revelations, and it's
right.
Basically, it says everybody's going to have the mark of the beast, which is going to be either a mark on your hand or on your head, and you need that to participate.
Which was it Blade Runner? Not Blade Runner.
It's been done in tons of stuff. I mean, this is a staple of everything: science fiction, horror movies, everything forever. But
yeah, no, it wasn't Blade Runner. What was it? What's the one where they have the jewel in their hand and like when you hit 30,
that was Logan's Run.
Logan's Run. Thank you.
Yeah, that's going back too.
But it's the same thing.
Late 60s.
Well, because you also had 1984, right?
Oh, Idiocracy. He's not coded. Unscannable.
You still owe me a bro date on that shit. Actually, you know what?
Yeah,
the three of us should get together and we'll do that.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, that'd be dope. At your place.
Way behind on that.
Dude, no, we should have like Mega Bro Date. The three of us will get together at your spot and we'll watch that one night. I think
Demolition Man got more right at this point than Idiocracy.
If you're
racking up wins, honestly.
Well, so was this is where like, all right, so Demolition Man and also Coneheads kind of coincided where they were no longer having physical sex. They had like the tone rings or whatever, where it was like, it was all through the mind, right?
So virtual porn. Okay, so that's another one they got right.
Well,
I didn't even thought
because
about that. Toilet paper shortage. No
Yeah,
physical
Jesus.
contact.
Yeah,
No, yeah, it just goes on. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And what year was that?
Demolition Man, fact checker. I want to say like 03.
No.
Demolition.
It was before that,
I'm
wasn't
gonna
it?
go.
You want to say pre-millennia?
I'm gonna go 94.
90.
93.
93.
What?
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say.
If I
That's
won. If this was the price is right, I'd be out
So
there.
you're talking 30 years ago. Well, but that's the same thing as the movie 1984. I mean, all the shit that they were putting out there is just like, hey, you guys are headed this way. You realize it, right?
Shit reads like a vacation novel now.
Yeah, right.
I'd like to visit there.
Well, see, I mean, this is like, all right, the Communist Manifesto. When you read the Communist Manifesto as an idea, like when you just go through it and see it on a theoretical, hypothetical, like, all right, if all things considered and the system is viable to sustain, the definition in the Communist Manifesto is actually a pretty decent setup. Problem is,
a lot of ifs there.
no. There's not a lot of ifs. There's only one if, and it's the thing that completely destroys it. As any and all systems being quantified within the understanding of our current mindset, every single system becomes biased no matter what. That's socialism, capitalism, fascism, communism, every single one of them. At some point, a lot has a little and a little has a lot. It's just the way it happens.
Oh, we're back to that.
Bro,
again.
back me up on this. The math tells you no matter what system you use, it's going to become, I mean, that's the 80-20 rule. It just happens. This is a thing of this world.
Kinda. I mean, I would say the problem, in my opinion, is people. You know, like, yeah, on
Yeah, I can agree to that.
I mean, like, yeah, because on paper, communism, yeah, it sounds great. And you know what? Communism works if it's two people, because you have a vested interest in keeping that other person healthy. It's your companionship. It's your other half. The minute you get
there's a
three,
dependency. I
one
get
of
that.
those is probably expendable. You know,
Right.
This is where it starts to fall apart. When you have a large society, even if everybody buys in, if you have a teeny tiny percentage that aren't either able or aren't capable or just decide they're not going to, at some point human nature sets in. You have jealousy, you have envy, you have people going, well, this person's not doing as much as me, I should get more, whatever. Until you solve those basic human desires of people thinking something isn't fair.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you get that out of human nature, you know, get a 2-year-old to play fair and you'll have my attention that communism is a viable system. And by the same token, capitalism on its face just blatantly is not the answer, because unchecked, it leads to the same issues and you wind up with a lot of the same problems we have today.
Right, but it's not
this
the
perversion
enemy.
of what's intended. It's not that something's wrong with the system. It's people.
Correct. Yeah, I believe that to be the common denominator.
I mean, but if you want, we've had this conversation. If you want to go by the data, the longest, most stable systems that have provided the most government throughout, I think, history is probably some type of feudal system.
Yeah.
And no one's going to want to hear that. But I mean,
No,
we've got
no,
hundreds
dude.
of years of feudal systems providing stable society.
For real. Yeah. No. That was a part of the conversation that we got into in that capacity where, yeah, like that's, dude, as shitty as it sounds, it really does, because when I think this really transcends.
Well, it works on a smaller scale.
Well, no. It works
within the realm of that smaller
It works
scale.
on all scales, because think about this. Even in corporate understanding, there's a hierarchy, meaning there's a place for a thing and a thing for a place. So everything is defined and understood. You know your place, you know your job. Doesn't mean that it demeans you. Whereas, yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at history, you could say, okay, oh, you're a serf, you're a peon, they understood they needed them. So while some would degrade for the most part in order for that system to work, it's like, yo, they have that same respect. So knowing your place and doing your job is a good thing sometimes. And in that capacity, yeah, as you know, him and I were saying, dude, because then you get people, because there's plenty of people in this world. I mean, let's be honest, there's plenty of people in this world that say, hey, you know what? This is my idea. This is my belief system. This is the way it works. Like, I'm just in this capacity and I'm happy to do that. There's more than enough people in this world that are willing to just be the status quo and go along with everything that those kind of systems work really well. And that's not a disrespect. That is an absolute, hey, this is what we're under. And that's the thing that seems to work best, because there's plenty of us outside of them who think otherwise, and we do our own thing. But there's not enough of us that we can actually make it a sustaining system. It needs to be the majority in order for any of that kind of stuff to work. So yeah, in that kind of capacity,
be business owners, to be innovators, to be
do any of that,
just trying to make a change in their world, whatever.
Because you still have competition between others in that capacity. You still have the people, low man on the totem pole that are doing the back-breaking grunt work. And you still have those on top that are reaping the true benefits. But everybody knows their place. It still allows for open-minded thinking and competition, and it just produces. I'm not saying it's the best. However, the numbers show that's a pretty good system. Because then at least it's almost like the Matrix. You're aware of your choice, and you chose it.
You might not like it, but you can't argue that it's unsustainable. You can make that argument currently with Western capitalism, the way we currently have it. We've only been around for a couple hundred years. We haven't been around anywhere near long enough to say this is completely stable.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's been too much in flux. We've had civil wars. We've had this. It's not. You can't say that yet. I mean, it looks like we're headed for collapse right now, as far as from an economic standpoint.
Yeah, but how many times have we been at a place where it looks like we're at a collapse of economic
It looks like a lot. If you look at the debt and the currency devaluation, it's bad. But I mean, that's a whole separate thing. But time-wise, it's just too fresh. It's too young. Feudal system, like I said, you can go back and you can point to 1,200 years of, hey, you've maintained society and it managed to advance civilization in this time. Maybe not as fast as you'd like. You might not like it, but
got results, right?
And what you were saying is a traditional feudal system has something different. So a lot of the people today that think you're right let's take a step back. Your point about people wanting to be governed, I think, would be a good synopsis. Maybe not the best way to put it, but
well, yeah, because not like an idea of like dictator being told what to do, but at least given the guidance.
Here, do you want to spend time with your kids and your family, or do you want to spend time researching politics and dealing with that crap? Everybody answers the same way. You want to spend time with your family. Nobody wants to spend time doing this crap. That's why we chose a republic. That's why other people, it allows you to offload all that crap. A feudal system traditionally has those ruling elites selected by family lineage. Under our current system, the people who believe they should be ruling elites are titans of business, people that have managed to.
Right.
There's a lot of evidence suggests that people who have psychotic tendencies and have narcissistic tendencies will rise to the top in those fields.
Right. I know.
If that is the case,
it's disturbing
then our
data, but
ruling elites, so to be called, the people that believe they should be our new leaders, are now psychopaths rather than people that feel an obligation due to a sense of family lineage. The old system would be much, much better.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's why I'm like I agree with you on that, where it's like there's more than just the understanding of like the hierarchy. It still allows for the overall ability for like, I mean, that's why I said it still allows for open-minded thinking. It still allows for competition. Like it really does. I mean, more to your point where you're like, yeah, did you get the growth technology, economic wise? Like, was there advancement? Yes. Was it slower than you wanted or expected? Sure. But it was still growth. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I've always been told the whole like hare and tortoise story where it's like slow and steady wins the race, right? So, I mean, is that really a bad idea? As well as now you're also talking about you're literally farming the land again. So you have people that are doing like the most, what would be like the worst manual labor. But honestly, dude, if you've ever worked a field, if you've ever like actually grown your own food and then consumed it, there's a self-worth in that. I don't care how much you want to say you're being downtrodden or beaten up.
Work. That's
If my choices are between a king that's chosen because 12 generations of his family were king before him and he feels an obligation, or a guy who thinks he should be king because he killed all the bookstores and rides a giant dick-shaped rocket into space. I choose A.
You're right. Dude, he's so poetic in his analogies. Let's be honest.
Oh, that's great.
So eloquent.
I paint a verbal picture.
Yeah. No, I think at that point that's perfect spot to go ahead and wrap this up. Yeah, no, let's go. Hey, everybody who's listening, think about that.
Finish out with a bang.
Think about that. Yeah, literally.
Bang. Bang, bang.
But yeah, all right. So you know what? Yeah. Hey, bro, thanks for stopping by. I always love your ability to provide that logical yet comical. Dude, no, for real.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dude, because like I always go, like we all do, you know, I go back and re-listen to the episodes, and the ones where you've been on, your timing, just like any of us, is just like spot on. You know, some of the shit you've said has been highly questionable for sure. However, it's not deniable as well timed. So it's welcomed, it's wanted, and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you so much for stopping by again.
Thanks for having me.
But yeah, B-sides in the green room. I think this has been a great episode. This is a great way to, you know, we just wrapped up our yeah, well, no, we did our 100th episode last week and our 101. I think that's hot. And, you know, we just, we've now revamped studio. We've like moved some stuff around and doing some things. And it's just, you know, we're growing, we're getting better. We're really just doing our thing. We appreciate you all for stopping by and listening. And you know, it's a beautiful thing, and we're grateful for it. So, you know, B-sides in the green room, Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Cookie Clacker JD.
I'm going to have to edit that. Thank you. It just made more work for me. Did you see their eyes? Yeah, she's like, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. Oh, but yo, fam.
It's a middle name like Clickety Clack, Arbiter of Truth. Something. Yeah, something.
Yo, write that down. Write that down. Yo, fam, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. Be good to yourself. Be good to everyone else.
Much love.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.